we shall look at the aspects related to the shipment of goods and preparation of documents. Shipment of goods and preparation of documents. We have seen the types of credit. We have seen how an underlying contract is drawn up and credit is decided as a method of payment. We have seen what type of credits and what function it is expected to fulfill as per the applicant and beneficiary as translated into the LC application given to the issuing bank. We have seen how a issuing bank issues a credit. Now, once a credit reaches a beneficiary, what the beneficiary will do for shipping goods and things like that. Now, looking at the shipment of goods and preparation of documents, the most important document under a documentary credit could be the transfer document, because some of the documents provide title or control over the goods. So when some documents provide a title, it could also be possible to transfer the title. This transfer the title is nothing but transferring the ownership of the underlying goods by consecutive delivery. This is what we say. Actual delivery is giving the goods. Consecutive delivery is giving something that has control over the goods. Maybe giving away the key of the go down, giving away the warehouse receipt, giving away the transport documents that carries these goods. These are called consecutive delivery. So conferring ownership can be by transferring delivery, consecutive delivery. That could be by transferring documents that have title to goods or control over the goods. And this could be by endorsement or by delivery. So there are certain shipping documents which are very important, which are called for under the credit. The shipping document are the documents which are the shipping documents are the documents which are called for under the credit, which will include the financial documents, the insurance documents, the commercial documents, the official documents. Official documents are documents required by the officials like customs authorities, the licensing authorities, the port authorities, and others. Commercial documents are the invoices, packing list, weight list, things like that. Insurance documents is insurance policy certificate. Policy is a thing. Certificate may be acceptable. Of course, sometimes cover notes are also acceptable. Something that evidences the risk cover for the underlying goods. Financial documents are normally bill of exchange or draft, and sometimes a promissory note and related things. These are the shipping documents, and these are normally the documents called for by the credit. And of this, the transfer document is very important because they provide transfer of title, and they could help us to confer ownership on another party or give control to another party. From the ownership or the control could transfer from the shipper to another party if need be under the documentary credit, when the documents are moving from the nominated bank to the issuing bank and thereafter. Now, this document which is required, which is not required, is based on the examination of the documents is based on which article is applicable. Suppose a particular transport document is given, the beneficiary, the nominated bank, the issuing bank will have to decide this document will have to be examined under which article, and then we have to ensure the beneficiaries ensure the document meets the requirement of the particular article, and the nominated bank and issuing bank will examine whether the document submitted meets the requirements of this particular article of UCP. Article 19 talks about a multimodal bill of lading. Then we have 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 talking about various modes and means of transport, so that the requirements of the applicant or the expectations of the applicant of having a compliant document, a stipulated document meeting the terms and conditions of the credit, will be honored. What type of transport is used, and what type of document is required, and what is the mode of transport? All these things decide which article is applicable. For example, if there is multiple mode, then Article 19 will have to be applied. If it is mode of transport by sea, then Article 20 bill of lading or 21 non-negotiable sea waybill could be used. This is decided, or could be charter party also. If charter party is a type of transport document required, then Article 22 will have to be used, and these things are decided upon based on the document required by the credit, document submitted by the beneficiary, and the mode of transport used. What is the physical flow of the document? Physical flow of the document is that the goods are handed over by the shipper to the shipping company or the agent or the multimodal transport operator or the forwarder. If it is received for BL, they will issue a receipt for BL. If they are asking for a shipped BL, then they will issue a mate's receipt. And after the goods are loaded on board a vessel, the forwarder or the carrier's agent will issue a shipped BL. Shipped BL is BL issued after the goods have been loaded on board. Received BL is the goods are received but not loaded on board, but the BL is being issued. In between, there could be a situation where mate's receipt is issued and it is exchanged for the BL. In other modes of transport, normally straight away the transport document might get issued by the carrier's agent or the forwarder or the multimodal transport operator. It could be a multimodal transport document, but the multimodal transport operator will not be signing as MTO, but will be signing as agents for the carrier or as agents for master or something like that, provided the LC is calling for a document subject to Article 19. Thereafter, the documents are submitted to the nominated bank. The nominated bank examines, and thereafter they will submit it to the confirming bank or the issuing bank. The issuing bank examines, and if found complying, they will hand it over to the applicant based on their payment if it is right, or based on their acceptance if it is acceptance or deferred payment DC. If it is negotiation DC, the nominated bank might have negotiated these title documents, provided these are documents that have title, and paid the proceeds to the beneficiary. The applicant takes these documents against their acceptance or payment and then goes to the agent of the carrier in their country and then asks the goods to be released. And if these are title documents, the goods will be released against submission of the original title documents. If these are not title documents, goods will be released against delivery order by the consignee or based on identification of the party to whom the goods have been consigned. This is the physical documentary flow or the process flow of the documents, transport documents. As we discussed, there could be sometimes a maid's receipt, and there are certain things which are non-transport documents. Freight forwarder's document, forwarder's cargo receipt, cargo's certificate of receipt. These things are called not transport documents. A copy of the transport document is also not a transport document. So in such cases, if it is a non-transport document, we will not examine as per Article 19 to 24 of the UCP, and then only Article 14 will apply. If the credit does not allow non-transport document, then we will be refusing the document saying transport document not submitted. If the credit is silent, then these will be examined as per Article 14. The presentation period of 14 days stale concept does not apply, and also the copies and non-negotiable copies or the photocopies or non-transport documents need not be authenticated as per the UCP requirement. Then house document or a forwarder's document is a situation where the forwarder signs the transport document. If the credit says forwarder's document acceptable, then they can sign without A, identifying their capacity as agents for somebody, and B, identifying the carrier. They can sign the document. The forwarder's document can be signed and it will be accepted. If the document does not, if the credit says forwarder's document not acceptable, then there is no definition with respect to the signing or content or form of the document, and LC will have to explain. If LC doesn't explain, it will be examined as per Article 14. So this is about the forwarders and house BL. Now let us look at the Article 19, the most important one among the transport documents, for the simple reason that today most of the transport happens by multimodal, and there is a multimodal transport operator or a combined transport operator who takes care of end-to-end responsibility for shipping the goods. Responsibility for shipping, not for carriage or not for returning the goods to you or paying compensation to you. It's only for carriage. It is called a combined through or a multimodal transport document or multimodal transport, and the CTO or the MTO, combined transport operator, multimodal transport operator, makes its own contractual arrangement with other individual carriers. Now, what are the types of carriers we have? Contracting carrier, carrying carrier, succeeding carrier. So many types of names we have for the carriers. The guy who actually carries the goods for you, the agency or the organization that is actually transporting the goods for you in your capacity as an applicant, you in your capacity as a beneficiary, or whatsoever. Now, successive parts of the carriage could be in different mode till the final destination if it is a multimodal. It could be one by sea, one by air, one by road, one by inland waterway, one by truck, one by rail, one by roll on the rail, one by the trailer could go inside the ship, and or large barge could be there. It could all be possible when it is a multimodal. The end purpose is that one agency takes responsibility to arrange for multiple contract with multiple agencies to ensure the goods are reaching the final destination, and you are just handing it over at your point of dispatch or point of receipt. The multimodal transport operator will sign either as agent for on behalf of named carrier or as master or as carrier only, and they will not be allowed to sign as multimodal transport operator normally, though they are acting mostly in that capacity. And the very purpose of using a multimodal transport is it is faster, it is cheaper, and it is easier. You need not go into multiple contract, you need not coordinate with the multiple parties, and you need not pay multiple parties for each of your small piece of shipment, because a multimodal transporter operator will be taking a large chunk of ship space or air cargo space and then making transport for on behalf of multiple parties. Where the last leg of the carriage is by vessel, then the transport document is allowed to be used as a negotiable bill of lading. When the last leg of the transport is by sea, the non-negotiable, the multimodal transport document is allowed to be used as a negotiable document, subject to effects in previous title. It could be used as a quasi-negotiable instrument, and it could transfer title by transfer endorsement delivery. If the last leg is by the sea, if the first leg is by sea, the compulsory onboard notation has to be there on the document. Control can be exercised by the bank by calling for full set of originals. It has to be endorsed to its order, and the document has to cover the entire carriage. If the document submitted covers the entire carriage, if it is endorsed to the order of the issuing bank, or if it is consigned to the order of the issuing bank, or if it is consigned to the issuing bank, and if the full set is available with them, then exercise control. Why they need the full set of originals? If one original is left with some other party, that party can take that original, go to the carrier and ask anything to be changed, because each of the originals are equally original, equally powerful, or equally functional. And the transport document submitted should evidence onboard notation. So it should cover the entire carriage, it should evidence onboard notation, and it should be endorsed to its order. The delivery of the goods under the multimodal transport document is against the party who is having the original transport document. One original, not necessary, all the three or the full set should be there. Or it could be delivered against a shipping guarantee or an indemnity. Indemnity may be issued by the consignee or countersigned by the bank or issued by the bank straight away. Let us look at what Article 20 has to say, or what bills of lading has to be having to be conforming. If a bill of lading is submitted, or if a bill of lading is called for, then it will be examined under Article 20. What is a bill of lading? It's an ocean bill of lading, or a marine bill of lading, or a port-to-port bill of lading. A shipment by vessel on an ocean or sea from one seaport to another seaport. It is normally issued by or on behalf of the carrier. And as we have seen in multimodal, it is issued by multimodal transport operator but signed for and on behalf of the master or carrier or agent. It is issued by the carrier. Practice is to treat BL as quasi-negotiable instrument. The practice is to treat the BL as a quasi-negotiable instrument. What is a quasi-negotiable instrument? It is a negotiable instrument, but it is subject to the defects in the title, any previous defects in the title. What is a negotiable instrument? A negotiable instrument is something that permits you to transfer title by endorsement and or delivery. The ownership can be conferred on another party by endorsement and or delivery. So these are transferable documents of title. Whoever has one of these originals will have the right of the ownership of the underlying goods. The consignee has a liability for charges, ported dues, and other expenses. And because the consignee has the liability for charges and ported dues, sometimes the bank will say, I will not be, the issuing bank will say, I don't want to be the person taking these liabilities, so I don't want it to be consigned to me. Sometimes the bank will say it has to be consigned to me. Mostly what will happen is it will be consigned to the order of the issuing bank, or it will be consigned to the order of the shipper and blank endorsed for further transfer of ownership to the issuing bank, the nominated bank, and the applicant who are receiving these documents in the document flow we have seen earlier. How they exercise control over goods? They exercise control over the goods by holding the full set. They will ask the full set to be submitted to them. They will not allow 1/3 original to go to the applicant or directly from the beneficiary. They will say the original should cover the entire voyage, and the issuing bank will say it should show the goods have been loaded on board on a named vessel. If it is a BL, we need a named vessel. Sometimes we may need a named port if it says intended or something, and it has to be dated on board. In a multimodal, we don't insist on the vessel. We just need a notation that says goods have been received for shipment on board whatever vessel the multimodal goods are being transported. The delivery of the goods is against the BL, submission of the one of the original BLs, or a shipping guarantee, or an indemnity. Now, what happens is, when a carrier is willing to release the goods under an indemnity, they may ask so many things. One of them would be the indemnity has to come from the consignee, or consignee is not relevant, it should come from the bank because the bank is more reliable than the consignee. Why? There is a risk of conversion. What is conversion? As we have seen in some other article, some other lecture, conversion is party A who is holding the goods of party B interest giving away these goods to party C. Party A who is holding the goods interest, goods belonging to party B, giving it away to party C. And if party B has not been adequately compensated in advance or later, then there is a risk of conversion, or the bank is supposed to have encountered or incurred a conversion. Giving away goods belonging to party B to party C, to irrelevant or another party. When the carrier took the goods for carriage, he took it from the shipper, and he had agreed that I will give these goods back to the party who is giving this original, or the party to whom it has been consigned. Now a party is going at the destination port and asking for the goods from the agents of the carrier, and he is not submitting the BL. So the agents of carrier is giving away the goods to the party who does not have the BL, who is not exchanging it for the BL. So there is a risk of conversion. Another party may come with the BL and ask for the goods, and the party who is holding the BL is the one who is having the ownership conferred on him because of endorsement and delivery. And because goods are not given to the party who is having the BL but to another party against an indemnity, the carrier will ask for a guarantee. The guarantee will say for unlimited amount and unlimited time. I undertake to pay all your expenses and costs in case if you have to incur some problem because the goods have been delivered to me and somebody else comes and delivers the documents to you and asks for delivery of goods in return. So, and under such a cases, the banks may be willing to issue the indemnity if the banks are sure that this is only a delay in the documents reaching them. It is not a loss. Sometimes maybe they will issue because the documents have been lost, and it may take at least some 7 years in certain countries for the shipping guarantee to get extinguished. Sometimes, other than the normal indemnity or a shipping guarantee, there is another method in which the carriers will release the goods. It's called letter of indemnity. Letter of indemnity is commonly issued by the applicant, sometimes countersigned by the issuing bank, and this is used in commodity trade where there are multiple trades happening and there are so many requirements for documents to be submitted to the bank, but the actual originals moving through the bank or the goods moving will take its own time. For example, there is an oil trade, sometimes in a charter party BL also, where the ultimate shipper had shipped the oil and sold it to some trader. And intermediate traders are buying and selling this oil until and unless they find an ultimate end user or a recurrer of an oil. In such a situation, letter of indemnity is the product used in lieu of the BL for submission under the credit for getting the payment under the credit. So these are the methods in which the goods will be released by the carrier in case original transport document is not submitted. The carrier will almost always insist upon issuing bank either to countersign or actually issue the indemnity. Because why? Because they are more trusted entities and they have more credit reputation to pay an unlimited amount for an unlimited time. Demurrage, detention charges, and late return of containers. There might be some charges for late return of containers because the container renting party will charge you. Detention charges are if the goods are left in the port. Detention charges will be charged by the port. Demurrage is if the ship or the goods remain in the port more than the allowed time. Then they will charge some extra charge for using their space for an extra period. So normally they will allow for 14 days free detention period. The ships may have 3 days at the port and things like that. If it is taking more time, then the port authority to remove congestion will charge on you a penalty. And these charges are payable by the consignee if the consignee is not willing to submit the original transport document and release the goods at the earliest possible time. Let us have a look at a non-negotiable C waybill. Article 21 is applicable if the NNSB SW is called for by the credit or if it is submitted by the beneficiary. The goods are consigned to the named party. Normally, we don't have situation where it is consigned to the author of the issuing bank or anybody. Normally, 99% of the cases, it will be consigned to the named party who is the applicant. This is a document that does not convey title. It is not a negotiable document. It does not convey title. It is used normally in short sea journeys where goods arrive at the discharge port before the documents arrive at the buyer's bank. When we find the goods arrive earlier and we need the documents to release the goods, we will call for a non-negotiable C waybill where the consignee is the named party or the applicant, and it will not be to the order of the bank, and it will be for short journeys and it doesn't have a title to be conveyed or ownership to be terminated. It's not a negotiable instrument, so it cannot be used for negotiation of documents concept. So it doesn't need the bank to be a party who is having control or title on the document. So we use a non-negotiable C waybill, which is a non-negotiable instrument and which is used for short journey and consigned to the applicant, so that he can take delivery of the goods before the documents arrive in his bank. This is also used in situations where there is no need for multiple sale of goods in transit. When goods are not sold in transit and goods are to be used or purchased by the ultimate buyer who is the receiver of the documents under the letter of credit, then non-negotiable C waybill could be used. Issuing bank can have title still by having itself named as a consignee. If the issuing bank want them to be named as consignee, they can have title. The risk is they will have to incur the port detention charges or other liabilities incurred with respect to the goods, safeguard of the goods or release of the goods in the port. They can have themselves named as consignee, and consignor has to waive their right to amend the instruction to the carrier. What happens is in a non-negotiable transaction, the consignor is the one who controls the goods or the carrier. So the consignor can go to the carrier and say, I have consigned it to party A, now please change it to party B. I have consigned it to port A, please change it to port B. Please give it away to somebody else. Please don't give to them. Please return it to me. Consignor has a right to give instructions on how the document should be handled against these things. And so the issuing bank will say all the original non-negotiable C waybills will have to be submitted to the issuing bank, and also the consignor will have to waive their right to amend their instructions to the carrier. This, whether the consignor has the right to amend the instructions or not, is expressed in the form of a lien clause in the BL. So by looking at the BL, we will know, is there a lien clause? If it is there, how it is being affecting the or how it could affect the goods under the transport document. Delivery is normally by the carrier's agent to the named consignee. Delivery is to the named consignee because there is no concept of to order, and mostly we will not ask for indemnity because we know the original will not come. It will take some time to come, and the party who is the consignee will be the party responsible for receiving the goods or owning the goods. There are situations when a charter party is being used. What is a charter party? It is hiring of the vessels by a party on a voyage basis or on time basis. I will hire a vessel for 1 year, or I will hire a vessel for one voyage. One voyage could be from, say, a port in New York to a port in USA to some port in Asia. For this voyage, I can hire a vessel. When such a document, transport document issued under a charter party BL is submitted, or when such a document is called for or allowed or permitted by the credit, then Article 22 will have to be applied for examination of documents. So when we have two types of voyages, time basis and voyage basis, and the party hiring the ship is called the charterer. The party from whom the ship is hired is called the owner. If the charterer is not the shipper, sometimes he is the shipper in his capacity as a beneficiary, sometimes it is the applicant in his capacity as the buyer of the goods. One of them could be the charterer. If they are not the shipper, they will have to conclude a contract with the shipper and issue a charter party BL. So I may hire a vessel and you may be shipping the goods. So we will enter into a contract called charter party because I have the vessel. My vessel will move carrying your goods according to your intentions, according to my instructions, and this is called a charter party contract. And sometimes the charterer is the shipper, sometimes the charterer is the applicant based on what contract you are having. Sometimes it could be a third party who has taken the ship from the vessel owner. The rights conferred by the charter party bill of lading will take second place, or will not have precedence over the rights of the ship owner against the charterer. Charterer will have to pay rent to the ship owner or any other charges to the ship owner, and ship owner's rights over the ship and over the cargo takes precedence over the rights conferred by the charter party bill of lading or a charter party contract. So, if the charterer doesn't pay the rent to the ship owner may take the cargo. That is, the shipper will lose his goods or the applicant will lose his goods. Now, charterer, if it is an FOB contract, free on board, then the charter may be the applicant also. And if it is a CFR contract, cost and freights paid, then beneficiary could hire the vessel and become the charterer. This is a charter party BL. One advantage is that the destination port could be any port in the given range, but the loading port will have to be the given port, a specific actual port from within the range given by the letter of credit. That is one thing is a little different in the charter party BL. It could be signed by the owner, signed by the charterer, signed by the agents for owner or charterer. We don't have that concept of agents for owner or charterer because agents don't sign a charter party BL. It's a owner or the ship owner or the charterer who normally signs, or the master. The agents for concept is applicable only for non-negotiable CA bill or a normal BL or a multimodal BL, not for charter party BLs. When an air transport is called for or shipment by aircraft is required, Article 23 will be applicable. The carrier or the agent will issue the transport document and it will evidence the receipt of goods for carriage. It is not a document to title. It is not a negotiable document. It cannot confer ownership or title by transfer or delivery or endorsement. And the control over goods can be exercised in a very limited fashion because control rests with the shipper as consignor and the carrier up to the point of delivery. So the shipper or the consignor can call back the goods, can ask the carrier to deliver to some other party, can ask the carrier to return the goods. So many things they can do. So based on the shipper's copy or consignor's copy. So what do? These are normally issued in not normally issued in three originals, but issued in shipper's original, the consignee's original, and the aircraft's copy. So these are the three copies available. So we ask for the issuing bank or ask as beneficiary, we will ask for consignor's copy so that the consignor or the shipper doesn't have control over the goods, and we as a buyer or we as a buyer's bank will have control over the goods. How do we do that? Or why do we do that? The consignor's copy is required to be submitted if the carrier has to take the instructions of the consignor to change the routing of the goods or the delivery of the goods or any other thing in the air transport document. So the bank will insist upon the consignor's copy, the consignor's third, the shipper's original, the shipper's third copy to be submitted under the credit, and the bank will insist upon they being named as a consignee or the party to receive the goods. Why? This is to prevent the shipper from exercising their right, shipper or consignor their right to request the carrier to change the destination or the consignee in the transport document. Why they should be named as consignee? Why not to order? It will not be to order because it is not a negotiable instrument. They are not documents to title. So non-documents to title, even if the credit calls for to be issued as to order, the beneficiary and the issuing bank will have to accept a document that has been state consigned, because having to order or to the order of or order does not have any sense in a document that is not negotiable, that cannot transfer title by transfer. The carrier will deliver the goods to the named consignee. The carrier will deliver the goods to the named consignee, and it will be against identification. Sometimes it will be against delivery order. If it is consigned to the bank will issue a delivery order normally in favor of the applicant to have the goods released. Suppose we have transport by road or transport by rail or transport by inland waterway, then Article 24 is applicable. Under inland waterway, the document could be issued as a BL also, and if the document is issued as a BL, that's a port-to-port BL or a marine BL or ocean BL type document, then the article relevant to the BL will be applicable. That is, Article 20 will be applicable, else Article 24 will be applicable. If it is a rail or road transport, it is called consignment note or a convention merchandisers routiers. Convention merchandisers routiers is I think it's a French name for CMR, which is nothing but a road consignment note or a truck receipt or a lorry receipt. Now, these are not documents to title and are not negotiable. They cannot confer ownership of the goods or transfer the title by endorsement or by delivery. So, issuing these documents to order does not add any significance. These are negotiable if issued as inland waterway transport in the form of a bill of lading. If it is transport by waterway and if it is in the form of bill of lading, these are negotiable. How the control over the goods can be exercised? It will remain with the carrier, and this can be exercised if it is even if the original is called for, the control will remain with the carrier and it will be delivered to the named addressee. So if the goods are coming by truck or goods are coming by lorry, the lorry operator or the truck operator will deliver the goods to the addressee. There is no going and picking up the goods from an airport or a seaport. It will be delivered normally to the addressee, and so this will remain in the care of the carrier. But banks will insist on being named as a consignee. Bank will insist on the originals to be submitted, but still carrier will have control over the goods. Suppose the shipment or movement of goods is by courier or by post, then we will have a courier receipt, we may have a post receipt, or we may have a certificate of posting. Now technically this can be however named, a courier receipt or a certificate of posting or a postal receipt. All these things are one and the same. It depends on different country and different postal agencies how they are denominated. It should have an evidence of goods having received. So how it is there? If it is a courier receipt, it will say received for shipment. If it is a post receipt, only the stamp of the post office will be there, or they will say this packet addressed to this party have been received if it is a certificate of posting. This should have been received where? At the courier service or the post office, on the place mentioned in the letter of credit, and this should show this is for delivery to a named consignee. The consignee's details will be there on the cover or the packet that has been shipped through the postal agency or a courier agency. It should show delivery should be to the named consignee. And then these are not documents to title, and as these are not documents to title, these are not negotiable, and so control over goods is limited and remains with the courier or the postal agency. The postal agency determines whether it will be delivered or to whom it will be delivered and when it will be delivered. So these are some of the concepts of a transport document and shipping documents used under normal documentary credit. We shall meet again on other aspects on other CRAM codes on CDCS. Thanks for watching this video.